Welcome to Ghoulwatch, ladies and gentlemen, where we talk about ghouls, ghosts, Ghastly, the ghost Pokemon, Gengar. Don't ask me why I know this stuff. But we talk about all the ghost stuff. And ladies and gentlemen, you might hear a little bit of happiness in my tone, the tone of my voice, and that's because we are in America again.
Yep. I'm grinning ear to ear, land of the free, home of the brave.
I've never, right when I landed, I got on that good old American ground and I kissed the ground, and I got a little soil on my lips and I licked my lips and I swallowed it down. How did you feel when you landed?
That's a little taste of home. Well, I know this doesn't sound believable, but right when we were uh, landing, a fleet of bald eagles were flying alongside our plane as if they were saying, "You're one of us."
Yeah. One of them got sucked into the engine though, right? That was a little scary.
Yeah, it was an emergency landing, but the way the staff handled the situation, I really felt safe. I really felt Homeland Security was working. I never feel safer than when TSA's patting me down when I'm getting off that plane.
You got in a little trouble on the plane though, right? When the bird got sucked in because they made like an emergency announcement, everybody sit down, and you ran through the cabin, opening the baggage compartments above every seat. Yeah, why were you doing that?
I was just searching for anything that I could possibly use to break a window and help that bird out. I was just looking for, maybe a statue or something that could just puncture that double window so I could get out on that plane a wing.
You're looking for like a stone bust. And
I was looking for like an ancient artifact of some kind.
it is pretty sad what happened to that eagle, but we did make it home, and that's what's most important about this. So the whole situation between the last podcast and this one was a lot of work, right? A lot of legal
Yeah.
work, a lot of
Yep.
time in the court. But the feeling I got was that they just got tired of us. They just got really sick of us, and they didn't even file any paperwork. They just sent us away.
Yeah. And I don't want to assume too much, but from the vibe they were giving me, we are not welcome back there in that country.
Yeah.
And, that made me a little sad because I felt like we had some unfinished business. I felt like we were making some headway into our research out there, but I guess we're going to have to start from square one and start, studying up on American ghosts and ghouls again.
Yeah, it's really interesting because that's a completely different field, you know.
Yeah.
I know about all these haunted cities now that even in this initial little stage of research we're in, because we're scheming, we're doing new
Yeah.
projects.
Yeah.
But we did, I feel, solve most of the paranormal problems in Japan while we were there.
Yeah. I feel like we were exiled, yet we did more for that country than anybody else. We effectively stopped most of the ghost traffic that was going on in the cities there. So the countryside's a little more dangerous. If you're out in the countryside, Inaka, that means countryside.
Yes.
You could get grabbed by the ghoulies out there. Just be a little careful.
Yeah, there were still a few bogs to clean out that we didn't get to, but
Yeah, we were working on the bog section of our trip. Near the end there.
we have a chart that it's kind of like a map with like red lines connecting each bog, and we were going through one by one, just firing into the bogs. And but we got kind of picked up and arrested before our work was done.
Yeah, that was a real shame. That's their loss, and I'm just happy to be back on this great country's soil, the U.S. of A.
So now we're back. We need to update people on kind of where we've settled, right?
Yeah,
Because that's a big part of it. What's stage one for our American, sort of plan of attack, both with Ghoulwatch and with our paranormal research.
Right,
Uh,
right.
where are you going to begin?
You know, I'm starting off in Kentucky, and I'm gonna kind of hitchhike my way to you. You know, I feel like we should meet up because we've been doing some remote stuff for a while, and then we kind of converged in the courthouse. You know, where where we both were detained for quite some time, and now that
Yes.
we're separated again, I feel like our research goes most smoothly when we meet up and we are both armed to the T. You know.
Yes. Yes. With our combined arsenals, we are much more powerful. Me, I kind of this whole thing kind of shook me up. This whole thing about being deported and
Yeah.
kind of just being under the spotlight, the magnifying glass of the law,
Yeah.
quote unquote. Uh, so I kind of decided I'm going to go back to where it all began. I went back to Boron on my first
Wow.
day. Went back to the cave where I saw the Rebo ghost,
Right.
and uh, and you know how when you're young, you ever heard of like the Polar Express, the train that
With Tom Hanks.
yeah, Christmas train that Tom Hanks was on,
Yeah, I
and
remember.
he looked weird, but you could only see it if you believed.
Oh.
Um, and that's kind of the experience I had going back to Boron. Because when you're young, you're so full of belief, and you're so caught up in all the wonder of the world and stuff.
Right.
Uh, but I came back kind of broken and cynical, and I went in the cave, and I just felt nothing. But
No.
yeah, but as I thought about it, I began to think about the wonder of ghosts and the endless possibilities, and a single tear went down my face, a silent tear, and it hit the ground. And upon where it hit, the Max Rebo ghost manifested in
Oh
front of
my
me.
God. That sounds like a
Yeah,
spiritual experience.
it was. But unfortunately, just as like kind of a reflex, I pulled out my Desert Eagle and I shot it, and it dissipated.
I'm really sorry for laughing at that. You know, that was just kind of a nervous reflex. I know how much the Max Rebo ghost meant to you. And I'm really sorry to hear that you shot it until it disappeared.
Yeah, I did fire multiple times. It wasn't just one reflex shot. I shot multiple clips. I kept reloading.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, I think that's something in our line of work. Like, there's a lot of reflex shots. Okay, you're gonna get spooked. You're gonna have to shoot fast. But I mean, once you're already shooting, you might as well just unload that clip.
yeah, because of the dopamine that the shooting the gun gets. You just want that rush, and
Yeah,
and we're wearing bandoliers, so obviously we're gonna use our extra clips.
a
Uh,
100%. And
yeah,
speaking of Star Wars, is that Chewbacca character? Is that a bandolier around his chest?
I believe so. I believe so. Yeah, for his bowcaster weapon.
Oh,
I don't know.
okay.
Maybe there's some. Who knows what's in that bandolier? Maybe some little cans of food for him and stuff. I don't know. I've never really looked closely at it.
Yeah, as kind of a tribute to the Max Rebo Ghost, I kind of want to dig into Star Wars a little bit because I didn't understand what was going on with that Chewbacca character and what was in that bandolier, and I was curious: is the laser bullets, are those something you can load in, or is it like a solar powered, like a calculator, or
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the mechanics of it. Maybe there's some sort of reloading mechanism. Maybe it can overheat or something. You gotta wait for it to cool down. Uh, but if I do that, he wore glasses, right? Like big old glasses, Chewbacca. Am I
yeah?
remembering this correctly?
I don't think that was Chewbacca actually. Big
Oh,
glasses?
yeah, like big black glasses, like circular rims,
I think you're
and
thinking of the character Urkel.
oh, you mean that's possible. That could be it from the Winslow family on
Yeah.
I believe it was Channel 5. Yeah, there was it's hard to I don't know. It's pretty rough. There's so many characters these days and so many different shows. I mean, what are you
Yeah.
even gonna do?
And that's another hard thing about being back is we have to reassimilate into, you know, another culture. It used to be our culture, but I feel like I'm out of touch with America. You know, there's new Star Warses. There's
Hmm.
you know, Cheeto in Chief in Office,
Oh,
Orange.
I've been catching up on all the funny jokes people have been cracking about that guy.
Yeah,
It's just like a veritable comedy gold
yeah.
mine that I've been going through.
I think it's a blessing he was elected for the funny jokes.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to overlook everything just because I find it so goddamn funny. And, it's you may fault me for that, but I love a good gaffe, and I'm not gonna apologize.
And you shouldn't. And you definitely shouldn't. What now that we're back in America and you've literally tasted American soil, what how do you feel about being back here? What's standing out to you? What's hard to get used to? What did you miss?
Well, I missed a lot of things about America, mostly, things like portion sizes,
Yeah.
uh, but on a more spiritual level, I missed the belief in a monotheistic God, who because that's what we do it for. That's what
Yeah.
we're killing these evil entities for, the
Sure.
Lord.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think it resonates more with people in America, our quest for that reason. So I'm living a lot more with purpose here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm starting to do the Jesus like cross thing now, where whenever I kill a spirit, I do the thing with my hands, like left, right, up, down. I think it is,
Yeah, you're saying that
present
like
the.
it's a Konami code for a
Yeah, that's what I
video
was
game.
thinking.
Well,
I
it's
mix
not.
those up a lot.
Yeah, I know you do. I was trying to tell you to just go to Goodwill and get like a physical cross because that's a lot easier. You don't have to remember the order up, down, left, right thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's do you go up first?
No, well, actually, yeah, you do. But I'm just saying you just wouldn't have to remember that even if you just bought. It's like a $2 purchase.
Hmm. Well, I mean, hopefully, because Ghoulwatch is still at number one, right?
Yeah.
And soon enough, we'll probably see like a return financially from that. And I think I could probably get me like a gold cross, right?
Oh, that would be nice. That would match your Desert Eagle. Maybe you could like somehow fuse the two of them and have like crosses on the side of your gun.
It's that would be a goddamn good idea.
That sounds
Uh,
really cool.
so, I told you about my return to Boron,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to frighten you, so I held back a little
Oh,
information.
what did you hold back?
I'm ready to debut this information, of course, here on this podcast. Um, when I came back to Boron, I received intel of a goblin cave near a river, a populated goblin
An
cave, not an
active
abandoned
goblin
one. There were
cave.
goblins active in this cave. Yeah, a guy told me at a 7-Eleven. He grabbed my shoulder and he whispered in my ear. He said, "There's a goblin cave by the mouth of the river." And he tipped his hat to me and he walked away.
How did he know to tell you that? Was he telling everybody that or do you have a reputation in Boron now for your research?
I'm kind of a hometown hero,
Okay.
but it would be better if he was just going around telling everybody. That's what you should do if you find
That's what
a
you
goblin
should
cave.
do.
Yeah.
In fact, we encourage you at home to find goblins and alert everyone if you
Yes.
find any.
Except for the police because they're not going to help you.
No, not at all.
They're going to laugh you out of the precinct.
Yeah.
So I immediately, I sprint out of the 7-Eleven. I drop my hot dog on the ground and my little taquitos. I dropped those on the ground too. I later I came and I picked them up. I got them off the floor and I ate them right there.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I prefer my taquitos cold.
yes, yes. And the floor of a 7-Eleven is a perfect place for any object to be cold. It's a
Yeah.
it's those 7-Elevens are frigid.
Yeah.
Uh, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. Um, I sprinted to this cave. I knew exactly where it was, the mouth of the river. Everybody knows the spot. Uh, and upon getting there, I kind of round the corner and I hear shuffling and like something rooting around inside, the clanging of pots and pans. And I look inside, and there is a bubbling cauldron filled with, I don't know, some sort of soup or some sort of like a potion or something. Are you familiar with the goblin cauldrons?
Yeah, I've seen a few goblin cauldrons. Usually there are bones floating in it, bubbling
Mm.
up to the surface. Real. It gives me a real fright. They kind of look like witches' cauldrons, but they shouldn't be confused with witches' cauldrons because those aren't real, dumbass.
Yeah, indeed. Uh, this particular cauldron, yeah, it was a viscous kind of green fluid in there, and it was, bubbles were coming up out of it. Um, and I went over to it, and it smelled of like a chicken broth or something like that. But I grabbed it by the edges and I tipped it over and I kicked it once it was on its side,
Okay.
and the goblins looked up at me, um, and they had this kind of glint in their eyes, like they recognized me. Uh, so I wouldn't be surprised if they know both of us now, the goblin population at large.
Okay. It's
But
concerning.
I did kick it over. Well, I threw it over and I kicked it once it was on its side, and the soup or whatever it was kind of like started pouring all over the place.
Hmm.
And one of the goblins, he looked up at me and he spoke. I'm not kidding you. He
What?
spoke in kind of like a broken English.
Hmm.
He said something like, "Why you do this me?" Some and I looked at him and I was like, "You mean why do you do this to me?" And I grabbed his neck and I cracked it. And I kind of like I took him like a football in one hand, and I threw him out of the cave into the nearby river, just like a straight shot, like a bullet pass.
You are getting
And
pretty
then
strong. I want to just say
yeah,
that last time I saw you, you were looking pretty cut.
we
And
had a lot of time in that jail.
yeah, you were doing a lot of push ups.
Every time I get out of that courtroom, I'd be steaming, and I'd go straight to the bench press, and I just fucking just over and over again.
Uh,
Uh, and it's helping me so far.
yeah, I feel like that's a good outlet for your rage. Besides, because there's not always like a goblin neck to snap to let go of your rage. So if you get a workout routine, it's almost as good as snapping a goblin's neck.
Yeah. But after I snapped that goblin's neck, I threw him into the river. All of them skittered about. They were trying to escape, so I kind of ran around like picture like the Benny Hill theme playing. I was running around the cave, picking up goblins and snapping necks,
Yeah.
and throwing them bullet passes into the river.
Okay.
Uh, but this was kind of what scared me, other than the goblin speaking, which of course is a big anomaly.
Yeah.
Um, they had many things. They had like a grindstone for like sharpening swords and like a smithing table,
Okay.
and they even had like an old computer in there, kind of like it ran on DOS.
Okay. There are
So
a lot of concerning things that you're bringing up here.
yeah,
In a previous episode, we talked about how you shouldn't have your window open and smoke weed because goblins can absorb that weed smoke and it makes them smarter. And it sounds to me like these goblins are advancing in a way that's faster than we initially thought.
yes, and I don't want to. Maybe a coincidence, maybe not. This cave is very close to a marijuana dispensary.
Okay.
So they could be getting a little bit of that smoke into the cave. They could be hotboxing the cave.
Yeah, I
And
wonder if that added the green element to the cauldron. Maybe they're trying to, make some sort of weed tea to sip on.
yeah, It's completely, entirely possible. It smelled a little bit like Kush in there. Um, but I was deeply concerned that goblins were in my hometown.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but it was a rough day, and but another cave down. It's starting from square one in our quest to kind of eliminate all these bad boys and meet in the center of America.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's going to be a long, hard journey.
yeah,
But I'm excited to see you again, and it'd be cool if we had a friendly competition. You know, how many goblin molars we can collect and show each other. Maybe we could
yeah,
trade goblin molars.
that would be great. Collecting the teeth. Uh, I learned this the other day at the bar that people say the term body count
Yeah.
for uh the amount of people sleep with, but I
Oh.
misinterpreted at first. I thought he was talking about how many goblins you've killed, and I said literally thousands. He looked at me kind of weird. He didn't believe me. But if we could kind of maybe change the definition of this common phrase
Yeah.
to mean goblin deaths, maybe that would go a little bit in getting these bad boys exterminated.
Yeah, yeah, we definitely got to get more people into the goblin hunting aspect of this thing. And we got to get creative. We got to get a way to get our listeners to get out there and find some goblin huts, find some goblin networks.
Yes, yeah. Uh, and maybe we should, because we need to spread the word. So the young generation is who we really gotta hit, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So maybe we should start expanding Ghoulwatch, making some viral content.
Okay.
Been
I
hearing a
like
lot
that.
about this grandfather clock app, I think it's called. uh
Is it called that?
yeah, it's like the grandfather clock application, and kids get on there, they dance. Maybe we could put some goblin content on there.
That sounds like a really good idea. I'm not really sure what the kids are into, but if we can recruit just one kid to kill one goblin, the world's gonna be better off.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind just like having a singular Ghoulwatch child who kind of carries on the mantle.
Who we kind of raise from a baby and
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like totally train them to be a killing machine.
the chosen one, as it
Yeah,
were.
yeah. Maybe we could, get involved online, start a Patreon to raise our child because I'm not going to buy diapers. I don't want to buy diapers.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone has any idea, call into our voicemail and tell us. How do we get a child? How do we find prodigal child?
Yeah.
Um, if anyone actually don't call in about that. I changed my mind. We'll work it out. I don't want any of
We'll
these.
find a kid.
I
How
don't want
hard
any
can
of
it be?
these freaks with their crazy ideas. Not you, Ghoul Watchers. I'm just mean there's some crazy people out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, do you have anything you want to add before we wrap this segment up and go on to the meat of the podcast?
I
The
don't have, I don't have anything to add other than, I mean, if you do have a kid or a baby, I mean, you could also pull some of the weight and start teaching them how to hunt goblins. I'm just saying, like,
Yes,
we're kind of doing a lot of the work across the country, and I would love to see some social media engagement. Send us a picture of you holding a goblin carcass if you can.
yeah, yeah. Uh, it'd be cool if we could make this a whole movement. We tried to get a similar one going with give the goblin speech now.
Yeah,
uh and maybe we could flip it and take it on, like a militia style, kind of like vigilante. Everyone's killing goblins.
yeah,
uh a goblin, tweet us with the goblin hashtag, I mean the hashtag Goblin I Killed, and then a picture of you with that little goblin all tangled up. I don't know what I'm saying.
yeah. No, you're right. Hashtag the goblin I killed, and don't you fucking dare Photoshop a fake goblin because we know what goblins look like. Show
Yes.
yourself with a real goblin, preferably after the next snap for your own safety. And we would love to see that. We want to get some social media engagement. Send us hashtag the Goblin I Killed.
This is definitely gonna go viral. Most things we do. So I
I
think that
remember.
about wraps this up, right?
Yeah. That I'm feeling really positive about. Starting this movement.
Yeah, back in America, dismantling these goblin obelisks,
Yeah.
destroying their kind of like web of power. I mean, this is a new chapter for us, and I couldn't be more freaking excited.
Me too. I'm so pumped up, and I'm just happy to be in this journey with you, Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't ask for a better partner in snapping necks, and soon enough, with this new hashtag, when we go viral, we're gonna be cashing checks too. All right, so to the next segment we go. This is Haunted Online. This is Whole, and I hope you enjoy it, guys. All right, ladies and gents, welcome to Haunted Online. In this segment, this has been a pretty goblin focused episode so far, as you know, some of our episodes, tend to be. We love talking about them gobs.
Yeah, we do.
And in this case, we're gonna be exploring a topic that I don't think we've gone down this road. I don't think we've talked about any specific goblin.
No, we've been talking about goblins very generally, and they all are a threat, but it'd be good to dive into specific goblins.
Yeah, this is a famous goblin. We don't talk about, goblins have their celebrities just like humans do.
It's true.
So, let's get into this dang thing. Let's talk about the Tokoloshe.
Tokoloshe. That's how it's traditionally pronounced. And if you pronounce it any other way, I'm sorry, you probably don't know a lot about goblins.
Yeah. Let's get into this. Tokoloshe. This video is called Blame the Tokoloshe, South America's most notorious goblin. Here in America, we're used to the Notorious B.I.G., but in South Africa, you're going to have to deal with the Notorious B.I.G. Goblin, Notorious Big Goblin. Let's start the video.
It comes in the night, causing mischief and preying on unsuspecting sleepers in their beds. It may even drink your blood. No, I'm not talking about Dracula, but something a little bit more mysterious. The Tokoloshe.
Swing and a miss on the pronunciation.
Swing and a miss. Yeah, it was just I was gonna say that. This is kind of discrediting the video already a little.
Yeah, I think I hate her.
Yeah, I got that sensation from you, even though you haven't said anything yet. I just kind of could feel it.
Yeah, and normally I love women.
Yeah, you've been very pro women.
Yeah, I never get in. Listen, I was with her in 2016. I was I just can't get enough of these women. Can't get enough of this stuff.
Yeah, and I should note that this is something you always say is you can be pro women but anti ex-wife.
It's very true. Frankly, when I talk about my ex-wife, I'm not so much talking about her as I'm talking about a demon that inhabited her.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So it's really not her fault at all.
Well, let's not go too far.
Okay, sorry.
But every other woman, I tip my hat to them in the streets. I say, hey, how are you doing? I'm sorry about all the bad men in the world
and the goblins.
Yeah, I say, oh, watch out around that corner. I heard some rumors about a goblin that inhabits that street, and they really give me a weird look. But hopefully, after our research, that'll begin to change.
Yeah, I think that'll start to change soon.
Yeah. I remember yesterday. Sorry, I don't want to go on this tangent too long, but we were walking by this street, and a woman was turning right on the street, and I'm like, watch out for the 16th Street Goblin. And she gave me a scowl.
And that's just gonna keep happening until we kind of normalize the goblin discourse.
Yes. All right. So let's get into this Tokoloshe.
Yeah,
Often
Tokoloshe.
described as a goblin-like creature whose sole purpose is to cause mischief and hardship for humans, this notorious South African monster is blamed for everything from theft to divorce. Also called a Tokoloshe, many believe.
So divorce. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to hear your prediction. How did this Tokoloshe cause a divorce?
Well, just using all my goblin resources and research, I wouldn't put it past anyone to have an affair with a goblin.
Yeah, especially
That's usually what causes a divorce, right?
yeah. I mean, infidelity, and if there is a demon in the mix, it doesn't have to be solely goblin-based infidelity. There could be a demon that propels someone to sleep with a goblin, male or female.
It's like the Monster Mash almost. There's a lot of creatures just getting to know each other's bodies.
Yeah. It could be, and these divorces could be, ghoul and demon divorces. We don't even know if it's human yet.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because I've seen it all. I've seen ghouls and demons getting into it, goblin on goblin, goblin on human. There's really no rules once you get into the other world.
Yeah, that's true.
It is real, even elevating their beds off of the ground to avoid becoming a victim of this diminutive creature. The majority of people have never.
Why? I don't exactly understand how elevating your bed would help.
Why would that save you from a goblin?
Is this a wheelchair-bound goblin or something?
I don't know.
Even then, it would be completely able to get in the bed.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not sure what raising does that maybe let the monster from under your bed out to fight the goblin. That's dumb. That's a dumb idea. That's not real.
It's possible. I wouldn't put it past a monster to hide under your bed.
That's true. It's kind of cave-like.
Yeah. And it could make like a little fort with the blankets, and it'd be entirely like a cave.
Never
100%.
claimed to see one. But if something goes wrong in South Africa, you can bet a Tokoloshe is to blame.
Yes.
I'm Dr. Emily Zarka, and this
She's a doctor.
is Monstrum.
Dr. Emily Zarka, she might be a good podcast guest.
Yeah, despite the negative things we've said so far.
Yes. And it's mostly pronunciation based. That's why I'm angry.
Yeah. And we would correct her if we had her on.
Yeah. I would
loudly.
I would explain it to her, and
Yeah.
I'd explain many other things to her in a very condescending tone, no less.
Yeah, but you're doing her a favor ultimately.
Yeah, she just doesn't understand, so I have to do it for her. I have to explain it. And women love this. By the way, a little dating tip.
Yeah.
Women love this when you speak from a position of expertise and you explain things to them in simple terms. Even if they get it right, just reiterate what they're saying, and they're gonna go crazy for you, man.
Yeah, they'll say, "Hey, thanks. I learned something today." That's usually what I get.
Hey, me too.
First off, let's talk about pronunciation. There are a number
Okay.
of different ways you can pronounce this monster's
no.
name. Tokoloshe, 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 and many more.
I'd like to think we're in the many more. At least she's including the correct pronunciation. I mean,
What is the correct one again?
Tokoloshe.
Tokoloshe.
Tokoloshe. And she didn't include the took or the lu part of this. So clearly they don't teach you that in doctor school.
Yeah.
At the whatever clown institute she went to.
Definitely didn't go to Goblin College.
Yeah. That's what they call Harvard. Am I right?
You're so right.
I don't know what I'm getting at, but it's I'm punching up.
Yeah, you're punching up. I think if our Harvard listeners heard that, they might be a little upset. So you might have to issue apology after episode.
I'll consider it.
Okay.
But to keep it consistent, I'm going to use one of the most common versions, Tokoloshe. Reports of the Tokoloshe appear in the news quite often, sometimes for something as simple as stealing food, but other times it's said to be the...
Yes.
Okay. On the screen right now, it's showing many news articles. One of them is an anatomically correct goblin drawing. And I do recommend you look this up.
Yeah, I wish I could see these annotations, these little tiny footnotes they have.
And also, one of the headlines is Tokoloshe killed my wife, which, it happens.
Yes. And if I was a judge, say no more. You're free. You're free to roam the world. But just be careful next time when you get a wife. Don't let that happen again.
Keep the goblins out.
Yeah.
For your next wife.
Yeah, when before releasing him into the world, I'd give him a pair of goblin neck snapping gloves, which we like to use. They're fingerless gloves, so you can really get a grip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some goblin goggles, some infrared goggles.
Yeah. There are and this is our proprietary technology. The infrared goblin goggles that only see they're like a night vision goggles, but they only highlight goblins.
And we've heard a lot of complaints. Oh, you might trip over something. So you foliage, and that's why you just have to study the goblin layout.
Yeah. Well, there were a few hiccups with the beta testing when I went into a diner wearing them and I attacked a child. But I didn't. I caught myself before. The
snap.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's we're still working out the kinks.
Cause of more serious crimes. In 1933, a man went to jail for the murder of his nephew, whom he had mistakenly killed after misidentifying him as a Tokoloshe.
Okay, you see, this is what we're trying to preach against. Because, it's easy to run into a cave willy-nilly snapping all the necks, but I'm assuming, Charles, that you confirmed they were goblins.
Yes.
I mean, the kettle was a big enough tell, and I would snap necks based on that, but you made eye contact with the goblin.
Yes, and I knew it for sure. I've never been in a cave where little ass dudes were cooking up a viscous pot of green liquid. So, I mean, I could pretty much draw the conclusion and safely snap the neck from there, Merely a minute ago, I was telling you, I almost did exactly what this guy did, but I caught myself because of my expertise.
Yeah, and, that's why we're the ones testing the gear and we're the ones making it, because we have the control and the expertise to not kill a child.
Yes, exactly. We've both come close at this point, but until we actually do the deed, you cannot criticize us.
Yeah, I don't want to hear any complaints. No cancel culture. If you say no cancel culture, you can't cancel us.
Yes. It's illegal now. Henceforth, no cancellation.
There's
That's
even a movie
document
about it.
Oh, there's a movie.
With all the different varieties.
A Reasonable Man 1999 apparently goes into the subject if you guys want to check out that movie.
I would love to watch that movie with you. I'm sure they goblins properly. Hollywood usually messes that kind of stuff up.
Yeah, and even though this clip is just showing a guy throwing a chair in a jail cell, I don't know exactly how it's related.
That's kind of how we felt. So maybe we have more in common with this man than we think.
They say art imitates life, and it appears it has done it again.
Yeah.
Varieties of the Tokoloshe I found in my research, I have to admit, I got a little confused. So I was thrilled when I was able to talk to a Sangoma. A Sangoma, or Nsangoma, is a South African traditional healer who is believed to be called by the ancestors to enter into this essential role. These people often have common jobs like teaching or law, but they also serve their communities as physical and spiritual healers, divinators, and protectors against witchcraft.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, me too. We need more people like that in society nowadays.
Yeah, because, in America, it's becoming more acceptable to be a witch. But
Yeah.
these sort of dark energies that these witches, bring out from the earth, that's what's attracting these dang ghouls and ghosts and goblins to the earth.
Yeah, and the witch agenda, you might want to call it, is really trendy on the social media, and we got to take that same trending energy and use it against the goblins instead of being pro witch, because the witches are taking over a little bit.
Yeah, I remember I went on a date with a woman, and she asked me, "What's your rising sign and your moon sign?" And I said, "Here's my moon sign for you." And I pulled down my pants and I freaking mooned her, because I'm not dealing with them dark magics.
That's noble.
Yes. And as I did that, when I mooned her, I let out a little toot just to show her I'm not playing around. A little poot right in her face. It was I regretted that part, but
that was a little bit too far, but it's okay.
Sangoma Musuvukile confirmed that there are different types of Tokoloshe, but the basic description is a short...
Oh, okay. Now you guys can't see this, but there is what appears to be a bullet hole in this goblin's head.
Oh, shit.
And that completely confirms what we've said about the inefficiency of shooting goblins.
Yes.
I mean, you and I both know that a neck snap takes care of that dang cerebrum.
Yeah.
But a bullet, it's just gonna the brain will simply coalesce around this the bullet and grow even stronger.
Yeah, it integrates into the goblin body, and it's just not gonna do the job. Okay, sometimes if you want to get a job done, you gotta get your hand. You gotta snap a goblin neck.
Yeah, you know how like the brain, the neurons, they fire with electricity and all that. Adding a piece of freaking metal to the brain only amplifies these signals and neuron, the electric waves.
Yeah, they think faster after the bullets have entered and settled.
Yeah. On the screen right now, there's an image of this goblin and a single word next to it that says "short." But that will only be entertaining to us. So don't take heed of this.
Powerful, half-human, half-animal being that feeds off of the dark energy created by harassing humans.
What did we say?
What? Oh my gosh. If we're not experts, then I don't know what we are, because that's exactly what you're talking about, feeding off of dark energy.
And we did not watch this video before. You're watching true expertise and knowledge manifest before your very eyes. Real time.
They're active at night and are almost always small, hairy, goblin-like creatures.
I'm sorry, but when you're describing a goblin, saying goblin-like doesn't really add much description.
And we should mention, you don't even really need to say anyone. They're literally showing a goblin strangle a sleeping man.
I was so focused on the adjectives, I didn't even realize the image that was in front of me.
There's a rule called show, don't tell, and you're telling me this goblin is goblin-like while I'm watching the goblin strangle a sleeping guy.
Yeah, it's show, don't tell, not show and tell. This is in freaking second grade, and this is what's going on right now.
Say they have long ears, maybe even a tail.
Don't agree with the tail part.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
The one thing they all have in common is some...
Okay, there's a thick-ass goblin on the screen right now. Do you see this?
I might spare that goblin because that goblin is cheeked up.
This goblin has been doing squats quite clearly. And when I was in the goblin cave, I did see a little set of barbells on the and in the cave. So this might be the very sort of thing I've been talking about.
That is horrifying and impressive at the same time. I didn't know that. They probably killed a power lifter and took his equipment.
It's completely possible. And when you think about it, it would benefit the goblins to become more sexy.
Yeah.
Because humans would be more likely to spare them if they're horny, if they're that side of their brain is activated.
You saying that just made me realize that maybe I was a few moments ago when I said we should spare this goblin because it's cheeked up. Maybe I should reevaluate my motive because maybe all goblins should have their necks snapped. Maybe
Yes.
we shouldn't spare any of them. That was my fault. That was kind of a lapse in my judgment.
Yeah, I mean, it happens to us all. We still have to adjust to the changes to the goblin physique, as freaking sexy as they might become. It's rough.
Kind of relationship with a witch. In South Africa, someone capable of evil may be suspected to be a witch, and harm can come to a person if they are characterized this way. A Tokoloshe may even be considered a witch's familiar, or as one South African told me, their sidekick. But this is no Batman and Robin situation. The Tokoloshe carries out any work the witch is hesitant to do themselves for fear of retaliation. In one
Can you
version of
pause
the
it for a
legend,
second? That's exactly what you're talking about.
Indeed. This is interesting because the goblins are doing the witch's bidding.
Yeah,
Is
that
terrifying.
makes me really worried. I didn't, in my research, I never came across the fact that witches have such dominion over the goblins, and now I'm wondering, if we should start the witch hunts again.
Indeed, I think it would be very productive, but I think it's also worth noting that we have a lot to gain from this ancient South African knowledge. We need to
Yeah.
keep studying to stay on guard.
Yeah.
And we also need to chuck these dang witches off a bridge for all I care, for all I know.
For all I know, yeah. I mean, if they're in cahoots with the goblins, I'm not gonna try to make any amends with anyone
Yeah,
that's got a goblin alliance.
I'm not going to kiss them. I'm not going to hug them. And frankly, next witch I see should get the cold shoulder from me.
the Tokoloshe carries a magic stone or charm that makes it invisible to everyone but the witch who it is bound to.
No.
They cause misery
What?
in all kinds
Oh, no. That's
Okay,
horrible.
what? No,
of ways.
no.
like getting you fired, causing bad dreams, stealing livestock, or committing sexual assault.
We've both been fired again and
Yeah.
again throughout our entire lives. But if this goblin is god dang invisible, we might have found the culprit.
You're so right. That might explain a lot.
There have been times where I've been doing my jobs terribly, just completely, and I've been completely incompetent in my work. And I've wondered, I don't feel like me right now.
Yeah.
And if I could have simply explained to my bosses that the Tokoloshe might be causing this, I think I would have gotten off scot-free.
One of my bosses said, "Joe, you went into the bathroom for 2 hours. I know you're sitting on the toilet." And now I wish I could go back in time and say a goblin was holding me down onto that toilet.
I think people. I know people out there with IBS. They should. Maybe that's goblin. Maybe that's goblins too. I don't know. Shit.
Did you knock over your bowl?
I'm just steaming. I knocked over some beard oil. I'm
You know-
freaking out.
I did mention this on our Twitter, and I just want to say it for our listening audience. I know not Ghoulwatch on Twitter, but I have been filling big metal bowls up with the Detroit-based soda company they make a product called Faygo.
Mm.
And I've found ever since I've been filling up these bowls full of Faygo, there's been no ghosts in my home. So, Charlie, maybe fill up that bowl with some Faygo, and you might be a little more safe when you go to sleep.
I'll definitely consider that. The Juggalo community loves Fago, and
Yeah.
they've repeatedly been the most ghost-free kind of social community that I can think of.
Yeah, in the Ghost Digest, they are the least haunted community according to a Gallup poll.
Yes, and at the top of the list, freaking witches. So,
Yeah,
I mean, that's proof enough right there for your Fago theory.
thank you.
I couldn't find a reliable source that explains why the Tokoloshe myth came into existence in the first place, though it is part of many African mythologies. It's like the boogeyman, or any strange figure that appears in the night. How the Tokoloshe is made is also debated within different communities, each having their own story.
Next time you need a reliable source, maybe call up Ghoulwatch. I mean, it's not rocket science.
Some say they were once a domestic animal transformed by a witch, or that they were even the witch themselves. Others say they are made from graveyard dirt and parts of dead bodies, or sometimes even a doll. It's also claimed that the witch inserts a hot poker or nail into the Tokoloshe's head to animate it. Sengoma Muzuvukile told me that he's not.
Wait. Goman Vusu Wakile? Oh, no.
Are you familiar?
I shouldn't have said that.
Oh, shit.
But these theories are hogwash, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so far, this is not matching up with anything I know about goblin anatomy.
Yeah. And the thing is, as far as like the genesis of goblins, how they came to be, we're still doing research. We're still formulating our personal theories on that. We're mostly committed to the extermination of these creatures, not so much history. Historians never make history. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so true.
Yes, that's what I say all the time.
Yeah.
Not sure how one is made, because only witches know the exact recipe. However, the Tokoloshe is definitely made by someone practicing dark magic. So not only does it cause evil in the lives of its victims, it's created with bad intentions. And while the Tokoloshe is smart and capable of making its own decisions, more often than not, it's following someone else's orders. Because of that, there's not a whole lot you can do to avoid a Tokoloshe's harassment. But since they are small and supposedly bad climbers, some people put bricks under their beds to elevate it and protect them from the grasp of the Tokoloshe.
Yeah, those people are going to get murked.
Calling a goblin a bad climber is like calling a fish a bad swimmer.
It's insane. I wish we could be kind of like edited into this video.
Yeah, we need to be.
Director's commentary. Because this is absurd.
Misinformation.
Yeah, you're gonna be put to sleep on your bed, elevated by cinder blocks.
Once you are plagued with one, only a Sangoma can rid you of the creature. The misdeeds of the Tokoloshe vary widely, but where it gets truly unsettling is how they might very well be a scapegoat for actual crime.
Doubt it.
In the early 1990s, 3 pediatric doctors reported that multiple children came into their offices with sewing needles inserted into their bodies. Their mothers all said that this had been done by a Tokoloshe. The doctors speculated that the children were actually abused by their caregivers, who were often female neighbors or relatives. But by saying their children had been harmed by a Tokoloshe, the mothers were able to seek health care for their children without alienating or upsetting their community relationships. In the past and in rural areas,
Listen, if you allow your child to be harmed by a goblin, I say to the stocks with you. And I don't think that's a debate. And I say throw that mother into the Ganges River. Which I believe
along with the goblins.
The Ganges River is nearby, right? South
Yeah.
Africa.
Yeah.
The Tokoloshe has been more of a mischievous trickster, but as urban spaces expanded, the monster took on the role of a violent sexual predator.
Oh my
A
god.
victim of
Okay,
assault
now-
might seek help from the
Okay.
Sangoma without fear of retaliation from their attacker if the victim frames the Tokoloshe as the aggressor. Both of these examples
Yeah, we're getting into dangerous territory here with this
Yeah, we are.
Tokoloshe.
Tokoloshe, you've gone way too far.
Yeah, okay. Well, this Tokoloshe needs to be put down. And
I agree.
I think we might once our viral videos pop off, we might need to book a ticket to South freaking Africa.
Yes.
Deal with this thing.
I would love to film a travel log of us looking for the Tokoloshe,
Yeah.
trying to kill it.
Yeah, absolutely, and kill it live on camera, no less. A little repayment for all of its crimes. Oh,
That
sweet
sounds good to
justice.
me.
Yeah, I mean, me filming you with the Tokoloshe in a full Nelson. Actually, no. Somebody else could film. You'd have the Tokoloshe in a full Nelson while I wail on him with left and right hooks.
Yeah. Our tour guide could film it, and then we'll capture it. We'll wrangle the goblin like we've done so many times. I'm not afraid of this Tokoloshe.
Neither am I. I mean, you know how many goblins each of us have dispatched? We're no joke. We can take on the big boss.
For sure.
God, I'd love to rip off its invisibility necklace and just wail on it.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say, "Damn, I'd rip off its visibility necklace and wear it."
I would. I can't say I wouldn't use the technology.
Yeah, we need to reverse engineer that.
Yeah, and we already got our gear. We could add that to the list.
Oh yeah, you know how much better we would be at killing goblins if we could turn invisible?
Oh my lord, I'm salivating at the thought of this.
examples show how a fictional creature can be more than just a scary story. When problems arise and crimes occur, unfortunately, it can sometimes be easier and even safer to point the finger at a fictional being. Tokoloshes are symbols of inappropriate and sometimes violent sexual appetites, mischief makers, and the possible vengeance of practitioners of magic. Not all monsters have easy to identify origins. Sometimes they
Can
have
we
taken
pause
on
this
such
for a
a
second?
Yes.
I'm getting a little upset here because she is talking as if the Tokoloshe isn't real, yet she just literally gave us an in-depth history about what the Tokoloshe has done. So, can you make up your mind?
Yeah, this is grade A propaganda. I'm being gaslit right now.
Yeah,
and I don't appreciate it.
me either.
Yeah, I mean, and her saying this, it doesn't really matter. We're still going to South Africa at some point to take this son of a bitch down.
Yeah, so right now, I'm just telling this for you, so you know, and so our audience knows. We're gonna go across America, destroying goblin obelisks. Okay, get rid of the goblin problem in America for the most part. Our listeners will have to take care of some extra. Then we'll go to South Africa, film a cool video of us wailing on the Tokoloshe.
And we'll send this right to her, Doctor. What's her name, Doctor?
Yeah, Doctor.
Boggin?
No, not
Zarka.
Zarka.
We're sending it right to Zarka. We're gonna say, hey, that fictional creature you got here, watch us work its stomach with our fists. And I'm sure we'll get an apology from her at some point. But for now, all is fair.
life of their own that no amount of scholarly research can pinpoint their creation. And that's part of what makes the Tokoloshe scary. Like the boogeyman, the malicious Tokoloshe feeds off some of the most frightening fears we have lurking in the night. Do you have a favorite monster or myth you'd like to see?
A favorite monster, imagine.
Yeah. Oh, I love this monster. Why?
Oh, this cool monster killed my son. Oh, how cool! It's
What a cool
irresponsible.
scaly creature.
What a cool, wow, that creature is so strong and cool. It ripped my arm off. That's not cool. This is irresponsible work that's being done here, and we're the counterforce to all this stuff.
Yeah, and I'd love to see where Dr. Zarka got the doctor title, because it sounds like it's from the same place Dr. Pepper got it. Hey, not a real doctor.
Exactly. You couldn't be more on point there. And what kind of last name is Zarka? Was she from Mars Colony? I'm disgusted by this.
Yeah,
Sorry.
hello, my name's Xenon Zarka. I'm a doctor.
Hey, my name's Margalesh Borgul. I'm here to glorify evil creatures that are going to kill you in the night. It's disgusting.
These kind of videos make me sick, because it's peppered with real facts, and then they gaslight you at the end.
Indeed. It's disgusting. But it won't really matter once we take this son of a bitch down anyway. And we're going to continue our GD work. If it's the thing that takes us down, we go back to prison again. I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, and there's a lot of sirens outside my house, and I doubt they're responding to the crimes that really need to be resolved. The goblin crimes.
100%. You know how many people are in jail for smoking the reefer, and the goblins are running out there free.
Yeah, and we could weaponize the crackheads and the cokeheads to fight the goblins. But
we could weaponize all of society. I mean, you don't even have to single out drug users. We could just weaponize a kindergarten class.
Yes. Because they're just strap a bow and arrow on any goddamn kindergartner. He's capable of taking down a ghoul, a goblin, a ghost. And this sort of education, these sort of survival skills are being neglected.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna vomit right here, right now, all over my keyboard and mouse.
That is about how I feel too. Wow. I mean, I feel like we did a lot of good work here.
Yes.
I feel like we reversed a lot of the misinformation that Dr. Zarka was trying to push on people. And, I just want to kind of pat myself on the back a little bit.
Yes. So farewell to Dr. Bizarka.
Yes.
With her bizarre theories.
Yeah.
Talking about a crackpot. Beautiful woman, though.
Yeah, a beautiful babe, though.
Who I respect. I respect all beautiful babes, simply because I have to.
Yeah, you took an oath.
Yes. But, that's that. And I can't wait to get this mission done. The Tokoloshe's going down. But I think that's about all the time we have for this episode of Ghoulwatch.
Yeah.
Oh God, it feels good to say Ghoulwatch again and not baseball watch.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. Talking about our true expertise. Listening back to that episode, I was feeling like a real dummy. I didn't have a great concept of how that game works at all.
I mean, no one does though. It's like
no one does. No one can.
Yeah, I mean, they never explained it. I'm pretty sure those dang airbrained jocks out there are running around in circles trying to pretend they know what's going on.
Yeah.
But we're back in our lane, and we're gonna knock it out of the park this year, 2020.
Yep.
Goblins
this is the year. This is the year that goblins are on notice.
Indeed. So we'll see you all next episode.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.
We're gonna get into some good stuff next episode. Maybe we'll do a topic we've never done before. We'll get into the muck.
Yeah, get a little dirty.
Yeah. All right. So I'll see you next week where you're gonna get dirty with us. Okay.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.